1940. Europe lies crushed beneath Hitler's boot. France has fallen. The Nazi war machine appears unstoppable. Only one nation remains defiant: Great Britain. But Hitler knows a cross-channel invasion can only succeed if he controls the skies. And so begins one of the most critical confrontations in modern history, the Battle of Britain. At its heart, an aircraft that would become a legend. This is the story of the Spitfire and the men who flew it into immortality. Why did Hitler fear the RAF? How did the Spitfire become the ultimate symbol of resistance? Fall of Europe, rise of Britain. By June 1940, Hitler's armies had overrun most of Europe. Paris had fallen. The British Expeditionary Force barely escaped at Dunkirk. Operation Sea Lion, the planned invasion of Britain, was ready to be launched. But Hitler knew an amphibious invasion without air superiority would be suicide. He needed to annihilate the Royal Air Force. Enter the Luftwaffe, thousands of bombers and fighters preparing to hammer Britain into submission. A German pilot diary excerpt stated, "They said the RAF would crumble in weeks. That Britain was finished. But none of us expected what was coming. Britain on the brink. Britain braced itself. Airfields were fortified. Radar towers rose across the coast. The skies became the front line. Outnumbered and outgunned, the Royal Air Force faced 2,500 German aircraft with fewer than 1,000 fighters. But among those aircraft was a marvel of British engineering, the Supermarine Spitfire. It wasn't just a fighter, it was a masterpiece. Light, fast, deadly. The elliptical wings gave it unmatched agility. But the Spitfire alone couldn't win the war. It needed heroes, young men, barely trained, thrust into the storm. Dogfights over England. July 10, 1940. The Luftwaffe begins its assault. Coastal raids, channel convoys, probing attacks. Then, in August, the full fury is unleashed. The Battle of Britain is on. The skies lit up with tracer fire and diving engines. Dogfights broke out over Kent, Sussex, and London. Spitfires clashed with Messerschmitt Bf 109s in high-altitude duels of life and death. We weren't knights in shining armor. We were terrified. But the Spit gave you confidence. It responded like a bird in flight. A German pilot expressed, "We called the Spitfire der Teufel mit Flügeln, the devil with wings." You'd turn, and it was already on you. What was it like to fly in these battles? The great statesman, the Prime Minister of England, Sir Winston Churchill, said an incredible speech in Parliament after the Nazis invaded Poland.
"We shall defend our island, whatever the cost may be. We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender."
The few, nearly 3,000 airmen flew in the Battle of Britain. They came from across the Commonwealth and beyond. Canadians, Poles, Czechs, South Africans, Americans. They were called the few, immortalized by Churchill's iconic words. Churchill stated, "Never in the field of human conflict was so much owed by so many to so few." Pilot story number 1, Eric Locke, UK. He scored 16 kills in just 6 weeks before vanishing over France. He was 20 years old. Pilot story number 2, Josef Franisek, Czech. One of the top scoring aces. A refugee from Nazi occupation, he flew with fury and precision. Pilot story number 3, Billy Fisk, USA. An American in the RAF. Olympic bobsled champion. Killed in action at just 29. Meanwhile, the Luftwaffe was starting to crack, not from lack of skill, but miscalculation. Hitler's mistake. As RAF bases took punishment, Hitler made a critical error. In September, after a British raid on Berlin, he ordered the Luftwaffe to shift focus from military targets to civilian cities. The Blitz began. London burned. But Fighter Command had time to recover, reorganize, and strike back harder. We thought we were punishing them. Instead, we gave them breathing room and strengthened their will. Losses mounted. German pilots were pushed beyond exhaustion. Fuel was short. Morale dropped. Victory in the skies. September 15, 1940. The Luftwaffe launched its largest assault yet. Over 1,500 aircraft filled the skies. The RAF rose to meet them. By sunset, the German losses were catastrophic. Operation Sea Lion was quietly shelved. Hitler had failed to break Britain. Pilot quote, "When we landed that day, We knew we'd done it. The tide had turned. The legacy of the Spitfire. The Spitfire became more than a machine. It was a symbol of defiance, of survival, of hope. It stood for a people who refused to kneel, and the young men who paid the price to keep them free. Its roar still echoes today, not just in museums or air shows, but in the very idea that freedom must be fought for and earned in blood and fire. The engine is the heart of an airplane, but the pilot is its soul. Walter Raleigh. If you found this journey through history as powerful as we did, don't forget to like, drop a comment with your thoughts or questions, and, most importantly, subscribe to the channel, Cyber Theo, for more epic historical deep dives every week. Your support helps keep the past alive.